Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so today is a day for the LA Lakers to relax, man. Decompress day. Hopefully, our team is doing whatever it is that they feel like doing away from the game of basketball. I understand that practice was not scheduled for, I believe, today or tomorrow. I'm not sure which day they decided to cancel practice. That's something that I think is okay in this case since we are trying to buy ourselves some rest. But I personally think that the team that I'm running needs to practice more, not less, in order to find the continuity necessary, all the different things that are just important for your team. I think the team should be very comfortable with practicing so very much for what it is that they ultimately want in terms of the result. And I know I get it. I've said it a million times. I know they'll say it. But the players don't want to do that. The stars don't want to do that. The stars have played enough of the basketball in their lives to know what it is they want to be, who they want to be. They've practiced all their lives. There's no more practice to do, but it's not about that. It's about practicing with the unit. It's not about you refining your skills necessarily. It's about the team getting used to each other and various refined, skilled pieces coming together for a common cause. And what practice does, in my humble opinion, is makes it so that that process is much more seamless when things become chaotic. You know what I mean? And things become pressured. Guys lean into the habits that they develop with the repetition that they find in practice. So for me, guys looking to conserve energy, they should find it fruitful to practice more frequently to find energy. If that makes any sense. I do believe that the more conditioned you are, the better you'll sustain. And when we practice as ill frequently as we do, spacing it out as I often hear the team does, once a week practice, 2 a week practice, is why we don't have good circumstances sometimes on the court as it pertains to this kind of stuff, thinking. I was listening to Basketball Minds talk today, several Basketball Minds talking about Lakers making mistakes. JJ Redick spoke on LeBron James misreading certain plays. Um, another guy that I listened to, I can't think of his name at the moment. Jason Timpf, he was talking about LeBron James particularly making a bad read in here and there, and it's like, yo, King, you gotta practice, bro. You gotta get sharper with the unit you're on. You know what I mean? We gotta, and the more I understand basketball, the more I understand that what I said about refined pieces who are perfect pieces to themselves, needing to be on the floor to practice so that they can be perfect pieces for the team. It just reinforces that same thought when I consider this type of thing. LeBron James is going to have to learn his new teammates in such a way to where he knows how to help improvise off of mistakes that they may naturally make in tendencies that only come about ever so often, but will definitely come about in the playoffs. And it's like that type of stuff, as I often talk about, when you uncover the layers of basketball understanding and basketball IQ, when you start digging deeper into the game and start listening to these guys like Jason Timpf really talk about the game, you understand for a fact that everybody needs practice a lot, regardless of what it is that you feel you are in regards to your mechanics and how refined you are as a piece. The practice will make it so that what you're doing on the court will look more synchronized. And that is ultimately what we're missing. If I'm not over here, you need to be over there type of stuff. And if we're not practicing enough to know what guys' tendencies are, you're going to learn those tendencies on the court in the playoffs during situations where you cannot afford for that. Learning those lessons the hard way while other teams who practice more often aren't making those mistakes themselves. We are too talented of a basketball team, but have come together in the last minute. You couple those two understandings, this team is very talented, but just came together, and you understand that there needs to be more practice, not less. Because what you're going to do is end up underachieving because of mental mistakes that came from not knowing one another when you really should have overachieved because of the basis of the roster you have, because of the fullness of the roster itself. You should not fall short. But you're definitely likely to fall short if you guys don't start learning each other better and start making smarter decisions on a basketball court, and that only comes with repetition. So I just think everybody's conserving energy, but they're going to run into more polished teams. You're going to run into the Golden State Warriors if you happen to get past the Memphis Grizzlies. You know they know each other. So us skipping opportunities to learn one another better for the sake of any damn thing is misguided. It's misguided. So that's really where I'm at with it. I just think this team is in a weird spot, and listening to those basketball minds, I walk away feeling more confident that my instincts in regards to winning are on the right track. While everybody's celebrating LeBron James because he's scoring 37, I'm kicking his tail because he shot 14 threes in that process. I believed he wasn't playing well, and I got that confirmation from the others who I believe in more so as it pertains to their basketball mind. And that's what I've got this week. If ever there was a time where I felt confident that I'm on the right track in regards to talking to you guys, it's this last week and a half watching basketball, listening to pundits, and then proceeding to listen to my own intentions and thoughts, and seeing me play out in ways that, what I'm saying makes, it's happening. It's like these predictions are coming true, and it's not because I'm some basketball guru. It's because there's a new understanding coming into the league that I think teams are going to figure out, and I'm just ahead of it. That depth matters more now than ever. And if you don't have a deep team, you can have a nice top half roster and you're still going to suffer the same fate as the Toronto Raptors. One way or another, you're going home because you're going to run into a team that's deeper than you. Even if you don't have worse stars, it ain't going to necessarily matter as much because people are much better. Much better. Just in general on the benches across the league. And for these teams that are behind schedule on that, you're just going to run into a field that's ready for you. And that's really what it is. I think that in the end, and couple that with the teams that just put themselves together in the second half of the season with such high expectations, I just think they've been a bit misguided as well. Teams just came together 2 months ago, don't even have their plays together, not practicing very much because the players on the team think they don't need to. I mean, I'm looking at the Lakers, I'm looking at Phoenix. It's like both of y'all got high expectations, but have come together in the last minute. If Phoenix got any sense, they're not skipping practices. They're scheduling twice as many practices. They're doing Zoom conversations at home after practices so that we can get these concepts on point. Because if you're trying to improvise, it's going to work against lesser teams in the playoffs. But once you start running into the real teams, that on-the-fly street ball stuff, it is not going to work in a 7-game series. You're not going to win more than 2 games doing that in a 7-game series against a good team. It's not going to happen. And so that's what I understand. You couple that with the depth issues of a team like Phoenix, I'm telling you, I don't care how many games they won in a row. I don't care how many jump shots KD hit in a row and how good Devin Booker is apparently playing at the same time. They don't have enough talent to overcome what is coming at them. They don't. Because it ain't about individual talent. It's about multitudes of multiple pieces coming at you that can help you withstand injury and foul trouble. And there's more teams like that than not in these playoffs. So to be not, it's going to prove to be a problem. I really believe that it's going to prove to be a problem. We don't have that problem. The Los Angeles Lakers are probably one of the best constructed teams for the field at hand, which is why they need to practice. Because I don't know if the guys really understand the fullness of what it is that I think I see here, which is a team that was put together with all the teams left in mind. In mind. They were thinking about, okay, how are we going to match up with Memphis? How are we going to match up with Boston? How are we going to match up with Joel? They were thinking about the entire field today. And a lot of the teams that were put together, if not all of them, were not able to do that. They were put together before the field was able to show its hand at what it is this season. We looked at the field, played half a season with the field, then proceeded to bring ourselves the pieces that we had put together to beat it. And that is an advantage that our roster has on the entire damned field. So that's what I'm here to tell you. It's constructed to beat what's in front of it. And if it isn't used correctly, which it hasn't been, then that perfect construction will never be imagined, and you will never see do what it's supposed to do, which is why I believe missing practices and skipping practices with this unit is misguided. It's just the wrong way to approach, because this thing has a chance to defeat the field as it's constructed to do, which means you have a chance at number 18. That's what it's built to give you. But if our coach is just like a 5-year-old with a controller in his hands playing 2K, just, oh, let's put him on the floor, him on the floor, him on the floor. If that's how we're doing things, then you're going to miss the fullness of what it is that it's supposed to do, which is be a buzzsaw for every team left. The Lakers should win every series in 6. I cannot stress this enough. There's no series that this roster isn't constructed to win in 6 games. All teams, all of them. Now, whether or not it will be able to do that, it's up to the talent. You're going to run into certain guys that are going to bust through what it is that you've put together. But if Bron and AD reach their level for which they're supposed to be and use their experience and the sum of the fullness of the pieces around them to bring them to victory night in and night out, they should be able to have enough to get these games they need to win the championship. 16 wins in the playoffs gets you a championship. Understand what I'm saying? 16 wins in the playoffs gets you a championship. And I think this team is capable of getting 16 wins. So that's what I'm here to say, man. The roster is capable of getting 16 wins. So I believe in that wholeheartedly. We're going to see what it does against this field, but it has to be used properly, man. You can't play players out of position. You can't forego the defensive length options that you have. If you don't use it right, of course it ain't going to do what it's supposed to do. You know, you can have a Swiss Army knife, but if you never actually pull the knife part out, you can try cutting whatever you want. You're just using the dull back end of the damn thing. It's not being used. And that's essentially what it is that we got going on here with Darvin Ham and this Los Angeles Lakers team, which I am really, really a believer in as it pertains to defeating this field. And why is it so important that we do this now? Because that dynamic that I said about it being constructed, the only team constructed to defeat the field, that's over with. Once this season ends, teams are going to get an offseason to construct what it is that not only defeats the field, but defeat us. They don't have that right now. They got to build that after the season. What they are is what they've been. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. We are built with the intentions of matching up with all the teams that are left available to play. So if we can just utilize that and practice enough to learn how to function properly, and keep enough key guys healthy to ultimately do the goal that we have here, then there shouldn't be too much in the way other than just other guys' talent. That's it, which is a big deal, but you're not going to be at a disadvantage night in and night out as it pertains to whether or not you should be able to match up against any of these damn teams. You should definitely be able to. So I said that about 7 or 8 different ways over and over again. I hope it gets to the right eardrums and pressure is applied for this coach to use it properly. Pressure, man, because once that off season hits, that advantage is gone. And you can bring the same team in next year. Maybe it has the same effect, maybe it don't, but you best believe you're gonna find matchups. You'll be like, damn, they really do match up better against us. Yes, they are going to be able to. But not right now. Not right now. Not right now. None of these teams can bring themselves anything that's gonna help them against us. And I look at the Memphis Grizzlies and I say, okay, they got their jaw factor. I'm listening to Stephen A. Smith. He said Ja Morant's going to be the best player on the floor. I don't know how when Ja Morant only plays one side of the floor. So that's not even possible. Ja got to play some defense if he wants to affect the game in a way that a guy like Anthony Davis or even his own teammate Jaren Jackson is going to be able to. He's not going to be the most important player in the series. He's not. He may be the most electrifying athlete on the floor at this point, but he's going to do offensive things. On the defensive side, he's going to have to prove himself. He's going to have to prove himself. It can't just be about Dylan Brooks and Jaren Jackson and Tillman getting stops. If Ja's not able to slow down a guy like Dennis Schroeder, or if he's not able to get a stop on a guy like Austin Reeves or whoever he's matched up against, it's going to be a tough series for him. It's going to be a very tough series for him. Let me tell you right now, his matchups with the people who are going to be guarding him and the people he has to guard, it's going to be a bit tougher than Jaren's. Because at the end of the day, Jaren is one person dealing with Anthony Davis. And he's probably getting in foul trouble. He probably ain't going to even have as much time on Anthony Davis as he probably would like in this series. Tillman's going to have to deal with him. It's going to be a tough matchup. But Ja is going to have to guard some offensive players, man, without defensive skill sets. At least Jaren Jackson has his defensive talent and his length and his size that can help him against a guy like Anthony Davis. What intangibles does Ja have but the ability to draw fouls against our guards in order to stop them? What does he have? His defense is his offense, from my understanding. His defense is his offense. And far too many signs have I seen Ja Morant, who's a young star still developing. Even though he's reached superstar status, that does not mean he's not getting better and needs to. He's still getting better, has yet to become as efficient as he needs to be night in, night out to offset his defensive inefficiencies versus Dylan Brooks' offensive inefficiencies, which means he's going to be throwing away possessions, turning the ball over, and jacking up bad shots consistently every night, which is something that really hurts his team. So you got that going on with the backcourt, and then it's like, all right, well, Desmond Bane has to play some 2, some 3. Kennard, is he coming in the game? When is he going to be able to showcase himself? You probably are better with Kennard getting more than 28 minutes a night. You know what I mean? Especially at this stage in his career. So it's like you ain't going to be able to put the right people on the floor to get the fullness of your team. You need to be able to score a lot to offset what we're doing, but you also need to be able to get stops, and those players who are going to get stops are not the same players who are going to score. So the Memphis Grizzlies in trouble. That's what I'm saying. They're not constructed to defeat the Lakers, but the Lakers are constructed to defeat them. We saw them, said, boom, I see what you have. Okay, this is what I'm going to get to stop that. That's what it is. So I expect us to knock them off in about 5 or 6 games. I'm leaning toward 5, to be honest with you. If we can get the first 2 games in Memphis, which seems a little iffy, we got to see how the matchups go. But if we're some way able to squeeze those first 2 games out, they're going to head it back against the wall, headed back to LA. I don't like that for Memphis. Especially if we prove ourselves able to knock them off in 2 games in their building, they're probably going to be out here in 5 games. I give them 1 out here. That's about it. So that's how I see that series going. Now, if they get the first game or if they win 2, all that's completely out the window. We're fighting for our lives. But if we get the first 2, I think with them fighting for their lives, they're dead in the water. They're dead in the water. They can't afford to go down 0-2 to us headed back here. And I think the chances of that happening, solid. It's solid with our roster being as it is. And the type of success we've had against Memphis as of this season, the way they've been playing the last couple weeks, they ain't the best team in the world right now. They got a lot of confidence, but they're not playing the best ball in the world. So that's really what it comes down to. And so I look at that situation. I say, okay, we're going to see what that is. Hopefully win the series and then move on to either Golden State or Sacramento. And as I'm looking at this Sacramento Golden State series, I think I'm wrong. And I'm listening to everybody who's talking about the Golden State Warriors. It's almost like I feel about the Miami Heat Chicago Bulls series. Game. I like Chicago better as a roster. But for a 1-game situation, even though I picked the Bulls, I actually think Miami's matchups hit the Bulls and attack the Bulls just the right way. And what I'm telling you is I think Sacramento may attack the Golden State Warriors the exact same way. Golden State. What I'm counting on Golden State being able to do is overcome a season-long road record problem. They have not been able to win on the road pretty much all season long until about the last 2 weeks of the season where they're able to get some wins in garbage time of the season. But they've been a bad road team. Very bad road team. I'm looking at pieces like Gary Payton. He has been playing great, but is he in the health shape that he needs to be in? He needs to be. Wiggins, fresh off his circumstance, been away from the game for a month. Is he going to be his best self? He needs to be. Draymond Green, how is he playing? How is that knee? I remember when he bumped it. That looked pretty serious. He's played through it. Is he who he needs to be right now to go up against Sabonis, to go up against all those bigs that they got over there? It's like it's a lot of stuff about the Golden State Warriors that I'm leaning on in regards to them winning the series that ain't actually what I see. It's hopes and dreams that's leading. It's aura and history and belief and overcoming that they did last year that has me believing that they're going to overcome this year. And I just look at that and I say, I've learned that lesson. And I feel like I'm making a mistake again. Now, it's too late for me to go back on my picks in regards to those situations. It's never good luck to do that. I'm picking the Chicago Bulls to beat the Miami Heat, even though I actually see something different right now. I'm just going to stay with the Chicago Bulls and leave it at that. I see something different right now as I look at the Sacramento Kings Golden State series, but I'm going to stick with it just for the sake of integrity. But what I see different is a real set of actual players that should be able to beat the Golden State Warriors, who've been better than them all season long, who don't have the road records problems that they have, who do have home court advantage in this series, who is a deeper team with more capable players on the back of the bench, which is much of what it is that I ultimately think is an advantage. And so as I tell you guys that the Golden State Warriors are going to win the series, I also tell you guys that I think the Golden State Warriors are rendered to being a jump shooting team while the Sacramento Kings are not. And that does not coincide with what I believe basketball can work, what will work for you on a basketball floor. De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Malik Monk, Sabonis, and as I'm pointing like this, these are people that are going straight at the rim. They're going to penetrate Golden State's defense if Wiggins and GP2 and Klay Thompson are not able to stop that from happening. Klay's in better shape, but he's older now. Wiggins, again, what type of shape are we talking? GP2, what type of shape are we talking? And then I look at some of the other pieces that helped them win last year. They're gone. Now you got Jordan Poole with a bigger role. He don't play no defense, and he runs hot and cold. Some nights he's going to go 3 for 12. Other nights he's going to go 8 for 12. But you best believe he's going to shoot 12. Couple that with the three-point shooting of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They got to either be on to score, or they're going to need Wiggins to step back into the offense to give them that dribble penetration that he ultimately gave them last year to offset all of this. Dribble penetration is important. Steph Curry, is he getting to the line the same way? Because if we're rendered to only shooting threes, I'm telling you, it don't work. You know? Kuminga, dribble penetration, very important in this series. But he's going to have his hands full. Keegan Murray is a defender. Harrison Barnes, defender. Sabonis, a bender. They're going to be in his backside trying to make sure. Elbows, pushing up under. He's going to have a lot to deal with, Kuminga is. And a young player who's never had any experience in the playoffs, with all this expectations for him to win another championship, with a bigger role. And he's basically the only offensive big that they got down there in Golden State. Because Draymond ain't getting no buckets. Looney is a guy who's going to put backs, offensive rebounds, nothing else created offensively. Reliable, but if it ain't the putbacks, it ain't rebounds, it ain't, it's defense, and that's it. Setting screens, he's not doing nothing for you like that. So it's like, are they going to dig in their bench? Here we go again to the same conversation I had about them when we talked about this before. If they can get something out of Moody, if they can get something out of Patrick Baldwin, if they can get something out of DiVincenzo, those are players that need to play absolutely well against the Sacramento Kings, in my opinion, in order for the Golden State Warriors to actually be as favored as I want them to be in this prediction. Problem is Malik Monk, more reliable. Herder, more reliable. Terrence Davis, more reliable. I'm looking at more reliable people on the back of the Sacramento Kings bench. Harrison Barnes, more reliable. Keegan Murray, more reliable. The others of the Sacramento Kings, I trust more than the others of the Golden State Warriors right now based on where they're at. If Wiggins was 100% and had been playing 82 games all this time, perfect form, of course, now we feel a lot more confident. GP2 didn't have these injury issues all year long, a lot more confident. And if they can look like themselves, that caters to my thing. But the problem is, those Sacramento dudes, they have been playing 82. They have, they ain't been struggling all year. They've been winning all the games they've basically been running into until they decide to take their foot off the gas at the end of the season. So is there a question of whether or not the Sacramento Kings have actually been a better team than the Golden State Warriors? Nah, ain't no question. They've been better than Golden State all year. All year. So, hopes and dreams, rah-rah, experience, and the shooting ability of the Golden State Warriors is why I picked them. All of that stuff is reasons I tell you guys not to pick teams. It's God's honest truth. It's God's honest truth. The hopes and dreams that Steph Curry will just be great because great, instead of looking at all those talented pieces the Sacramento Kings got and all that continuity that they've kept from being together all year long, the beam and the fact that that's a motivating factor. I look at this and I say, there ain't really nothing else making me pick the Golden State Warriors. There's nothing. I see better players on the Sacramento Kings. I see home court advantage in Sacramento. I see a better offensive team overall, a better road team overall. Only thing Golden State Warriors have on the Sacramento Kings is better defense. And I don't know how much that defense is going to do for you when you're going up against an offense like the Sacramento Kings. But you're going to hold them to 120 points as opposed to 150? Hopes and dreams, rah-rah, Steph Curry, healthy Klay Thompson. They're going to hit a bunch of threes and find a way But what I'm telling you is there's pieces, the surrounding pieces, ain't a lot of evidence there for me at all. Not a lot. We'll see what happens. I said Golden State is 6. We'll see the games being played. But if Sacramento starts to press forward and show that their talent is just overall better, I made the case for it myself, unfortunately, for them. So it is what it is. Experience will win out. That's what I'm telling you, I guess. Anyway, so that's kind of how I'm looking at that series. We already broke down the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is another series that I think is going to be very intriguing. A lot of people picking the Cavs. I'm not. I'm picking the Knicks. I'm picking the New York Knickerbockers to win that series in about 6. I am. Deeper team, and they got just enough length to offset the length the Cavs are going to be providing. It's not a deep enough team, man. Depth matters. So that's what I'm looking at there. And then there's another series in the Eastern Conference. It's already locked up, and it's the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. And I told you guys Philadelphia's going to win that series no matter what happens. Really, no matter what. Even if there's upsets, even if Brooklyn wins the first 2 games, I'm still not picking Philly. I'm still not picking Brooklyn. It's just going to be too much for me in my mind's eye to see that team full of really, really good defensive players and two-way wings and solid players and a bench that's pretty solid, a bunch of shooters. Brooklyn has all different types of stuff, but at the end of the day, I don't know who is actually going to slow down Joel Embiid if it ain't Claxton. If Claxton doesn't step into his very best self and define himself as an equal to Joel Embiid, ain't no way. That's the only way they're going to do it. He has to be averaging like 30 points a night, 15 boards a night, 3 blocks a night. And he has to stay on the floor and not get foul trouble and get the key stops against Joel Embiid. He has to get the key stops against Joel Embiid. If that works out, they can, from possession to possession to possession, give themselves a better chance as the series increases. That's about as good as I'm going to give them. The longer the series plays out, the better chance they have of shocking the world. But if they drop the first 2 games, something like that series going to end very fast. It's Joel, man. Joel ain't, it's Joel. And so that's that, man. No play-in tournament games today. We're waiting for tomorrow for the 2 play-in tournament matchups. Minnesota, New Orleans, Chicago, Miami. Of course, you guys know I got Chicago, even though I think Miami, as I already said, could win that game. In the Thunder game, Timberwolves, I still think the Thunder are going to win that matchup, even though the Timberwolves do have some size down there. I just think the Timberwolves are missing a little too much. The game is in Minnesota, but I don't know if that's going to get it done. Anthony Edwards and that shoulder, I just don't know if they're going to have enough to ultimately offset what I think OKC could do. But OKC is such a young team, and they're lacking in such at the center position. Till I'm kind of hesitant to really think they'll be able to do it. And the ability to audible in and out of big and small lineups for the Timberwolves is a real key advantage. Because at the end of the day, the Timberwolves actually do play better basketball without Rudy Gobert. But I don't know if their small ball lineups are actually better than OKC's small ball lineups, but they're not rendered to that. If they have to get out of it, they can get out of it. But it's going to be an interesting thing to see. Once Anderson and Prince, Conley, and Edwards, once they put that lineup on the floor without Rudy, if that lineup has success against the OKC Thunder, then that's going to be their best bet of winning that series, that game, I think. But if their small ball doesn't beat the OKC small ball players, it's going to be really tricky to me. Because I don't know if Rudy Gobert is going to be able to play much in this game. Giddey and those guys are probably just going to pick them apart, put them in a blender, have them rendered useless, probably drive at him, get him in foul trouble, stuff like that. This is not really a game for him necessarily, even though he has such a size advantage. He's such a disadvantage if they start shooting the ball, which they're going to do, OKC. So that's a tricky matchup, man. I want to pick OKC to win it, and I think I do. But Minnesota, I've seen enough of Minnesota. I believe in what some of those role players can do to where they have more than a puncher's chance of winning this game. They got more than a puncher's chance. I think it would be a big letdown. No disrespect to all the Minnesota fans, but I think everybody would much rather see a healthy OKC team go up against Denver than a depleted Timberwolf team for 7 games or 5 games, whatever it's going to be. You just ain't going to put up much of a fight against Denver. We all know that. So I'm, for the sake of good basketball, hoping OKC is able to get the victory in that matchup. But those are 2 7-footers, man. One of them shoots the three. I don't know who on OKC is going to actually stop that. I don't know. I don't think OKC has answers for their centers. Hopefully it plays out the way I want it to, but I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm just going to stick with my OKC pick and see how it plays out. So that's what I want to do. Just give you guys a bit of my thoughts here. Lakers talk / NBA talk. As far as the Lakers are concerned, like I said, we're not doing nothing but resting today. Hopefully our guys are doing well. I just want us to be encouraged to see the fruit in just scheduling more practices during the playoffs, not less, because I think that the more continuity, the more togetherness, the more on the string our team is as the playoffs increases, the better chance we have of functioning properly and defeating the field for a championship. But if they don't practice and they come out halfway thinking, halfway invested, halfway paying attention to the details of the game, then we're going to be out of here halfway through the playoffs. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.